Hey guys, so I have my December wrap up here today, which is the worst wrap up of the whole 2018 for me. And I think it's even worse because I had such a great TBR and a great vision for the month of December, and then literally like nothing happened following that TBR video. So I should not have had so many books and so many good plans for December, because December was just a really busy month for me because it's the holidays obviously, and I feel like every single weekend I was either going somewhere or some people were coming over to our house, so it was just a really busy time. I still want to read those books I talked about in my TBR in 2019, so I will still get to them, but yeah, the whole sequel December thing was a complete flop. So let's talk about the book that I read, and it actually was just a reread. So if you follow me on Instagram, then you already know I did a reread of The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna because I went to Paris the first week of December and I really wanted to read a book set in France, and I've been wanting to reread The Nightingale, so it was just the perfect timing for that. And I actually did manage to finish this while I was in Paris. I read the whole thing there, which I didn't think I was going to be able to finish the book. Obviously there's a lot of travel time though, going there and then coming back. And coming back, we pretty much spent the whole day in the airport. I think we spent like 7 hours or something in the airport. So I was able to pretty much finish the whole second half of this book on the way home. But it was really a good reread. I don't want to talk too much about this because I've already talked about this before and I've talked about this a lot, but this is a World War II historical fiction following two sisters in France, and they are very different personalities. We have one of the sisters who is very much a homebody. She loves her husband and her daughter and she just wants to keep them safe and protect them, and she's a little more cowardly. And then she has her younger sister Isabella, or is it Isabel? I've been reading a couple books like Isabel's and Isabella, so I always forget which book has which, but her younger sister is very rebellious. She wants to do something active in stopping some of the injustice that's going on in the war, and she wants to fight. So very different stories, but so well done. In rereading it, I loved it just as much as the first time. And the first time I actually listened to it on audiobook, so I'm really glad that I got to actually sit down and read this book too. Definitely a book that I can see myself reading again, recommending to honestly everybody. It's just an amazing story, and I'm just so glad that I got to reread it. I still cried when I was rereading it, and honestly, I cried more in the reread because I knew what was coming and I knew what to expect with it, and so that anticipation of knowing what was actually happening made it that much worse than just reading it for the first time and being unaware of everything, you know what I mean? If that makes any sense. So once I finished this in December, I did spend the month reading something, and I think the problem is, so I started Queen of Air and Darkness by Cassandra Clare, and I did not finish it in December. And I think if I had read a book that was less long, I would have had a better reading month. Like, I don't think I should have started with that book because Queen of Air and Darkness is over 900 pages and I wanted to read so many books in December. So I think that was like my biggest problem, was that I decided to start with the book that was the longest. There wasn't that much reading time, and so any reading time I had was devoted to reading that huge book. So I probably could have read more if I hadn't read Queen of Air and Darkness, but oh well, that's fine. But I'm not going to talk about Queen of Air and Darkness here because I did not finish it in December, so I will talk about that later. But then the other two books, it doesn't even count as like two full books, but I did read the first 2 volumes in Full Metal Alchemist. So I talked about this in my end of the year book haul, Christmas book haul that I got, and I actually have also just finished the 3rd volume, but I'm not going to talk about the 3rd volume now because I'm just talking about the first 2. So this is like my first go into manga, and honestly I really like it so far. The first 2 volumes really just kind of set the stage for the world and kind of teach you about the society that they're living in and the role that these alchemists play in the society, and you're learning about some of the villains here in this world. It's really good so far. Yeah, I've read this whole book at this point now. This is the first 3 volumes, but it's really fun to read a manga style story because it honestly feels like you're reading a TV show, and I just really love that. It's so good. So I'll be getting to more of this series for sure in 2019. But honestly guys, that wraps up my December reading month, and it was really bad, but you know what, things happen. I have a lot of reading plans already for January and for the rest of 2019 that I'm really excited about. And now that the holidays are all over and I'm all back home, because I did go on 2 trips in December too, which I think also put a damper on my reading. That wraps up December. Thank you so much for watching and happy reading.